Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Roughie's football show. With the European games now done and dusted, it's Friday. We are focusing on the weekend Scottish Premiership. I'm Peter Martin. Thank you very much for tuning into the show. Alan Rough and Barry Ferguson are with me here, and we've got quite a bit to talk about. We'll get to Roughie on that late signing at Thistle. But first and foremost, Celtic Park, Europa League. Here's our reporter Gabriel Antoniazzi looking back at a disappointing defeat against Valencia.
It was an extremely disappointing night for Celtic as they succumbed to a 2-0 defeat to Valencia in their first leg of the Europa League last 32 tie. The Scottish champions' European adventure is now all but over for another season, but it was more than that. Celtic started brightly, just like their disco lights, but consistently put themselves under pressure with poor pedestrian passing in their own third. Their inability to keep the ball cost them for both of the goals. Both goals appeared to be offside, but replay showed that it was just lazy defending that had allowed Valencia attackers to be onside. Manager Brendan Rodgers believes that it was the basic mistakes that cost Celtic the tie.
The problem for us was that we made basic mistakes, and then what happens is when you do that, you become safe in your game, and then instead of playing forwards, you end up going sideways or backwards. And against a good team that are well organised and got good players, if you do that, then it's very, very difficult to penetrate.
We know that Rodgers built his side to play possession-based football, and here Celtic had over 60% of the ball, but they did nothing with it. Did not threaten the Valencia goal at all, and they were often guilty of overplaying in dangerous areas. No one expected Celtic to blow away Valencia, but it will be the manner of the defeat which will hurt Rodgers and the fans the most.
I don't think I'm in any way going to shock a few people by saying, OK, that's Celtic's European adventure over. I don't expect them to go over to Valencia and turn over a 2-0 deficit. If anything, I could sum it up by saying, Roughie, Celtic have a Champions League support, but unfortunately a Scottish Premiership side.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing, and I think the Celtic supporters are now having to buy into that. We've been hearing Celtic talking up their form since the turn of the year, and quite rightly so. But again, we've found out when you go into European football, it's a different level, totally outplayed. The quality of the players that they had were way above what Celtic's got, which wasn't the case maybe 4 or 5 years ago. It's unfortunate. There's a signing policy at the club just now. And I think some of the fans will now be starting to ask, where are we going? Are we just a domestic team here who want to win doubles and trebles? As a European, quest now gone? Because I keep going back to when Brendan Rodgers, one of the main reasons Brendan Rodgers came to Celtic was Champions League football.
Well, there's no use going back over it and saying, they can spend 40 million on a player and Celtic can't, because Hearts, Hibs, Motherwell, everybody has to put up with the spending power of Celtic and, to an extent, this season Rangers. So they're just getting a taste of their own medicine. What I would say is, I think the thing that will stick in the throat of quite a few Celtic fans, Barry, is the manner of the defeat last night. It wasn't a case that Celtic weren't at it. It's a case that they come up against a side with technically better players, and they didn't allow them to be at it. And the point here is quite simply, Celtic have got £39 million in the bank. Roughie touched on it. Their signing policy has caught them cold in Champions League qualification before AEK Athens and in the Europa League as well, where they were very fortunate to get to this stage.
Yep, look, domestically, Celtic have got very good players. There's no doubt that they've dominated Scottish football since Brendan Rodgers has come into the job. But last night was a prime example, as if you want to do well, and that's only Europa League, that's not even Champions League last night. If you want to do well in European football, you need to go out and spend decent amount of money to bring in top quality players that can perform at that level. Because let's be honest, Valencia, they're a good side, they're not a top side. But technically last night, they looked a lot better than Celtic.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, I mean, the reason why I say Celtic have got a Champions League support, if you look at the statistics on Europa League attendances, it's incredible. Arsenal up there, Celtic, Rangers, the top 10 average attendances per match in the Europa League. They are up there. They've got a fantastic support both ends of the city, but quite simply that spending power is what so many clubs with a great European history are facing up to. They can't match the English football. They certainly can't match 2 or 3 of the big 5 in Europe. So expecting them to punch above their weight. I've got no real criticism of the board because I think the board are running it like a business, Roughie, and quite simply, if you don't get into the Champions League group stage with very minimal spend, then they sell a good player. And that's it. There's no point in bumping your gums about it now because quite simply, that's the blueprint. Lose the group stage qualifiers, lose the qualifiers for the group stage, sell a player. Get on with it. The manager, I think, is open to criticism because I think somewhere along the line he's never adopted Neil Lennon or Gordon Strachan's attitude, which is quite simply, I am going in against a better fighter with more to offer than I have, so how do I stop them playing? He's always tried to play this passing, expansive game, which is great if you've got 11 technically gifted players, but they ain't got that.
No, they certainly don't have it, and Barry touched on it there. Yeah, I mean, Celtic and Rangers have been coming up against European sides with far more better players, 10 million, 20 million, 30 million, but they've competed. They've always competed. You know, the Barcelonas and the Juventuses and the Milans and everybody's came to Parkhead or even Ibrox as well. And the players have adapted to the scenario. They haven't won all the time, but they've certainly put up a bit of a fight and given the supporters something to hang on to, whether it's the first minute or the last minute. But that's sadly lacking now. And I'm sure a lot of supporters out there will be really disappointed. We keep talking about the signing policy. I don't think the supporters are looking for Celtic to sign 2 £10 million players. I think they're looking to go out and identify maybe quality players at 4, 5, 6 million, which they can really afford.
Yep, absolutely. Listen, they couldn't even afford a £2.5 million player, to be honest with you, and they made a hash of the whole John McGinn episode too. But it's gone. The horse has bolted. Give us your thoughts on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and of course YouTube as well. We'd love to hear from you. Your thoughts on Celtic, and where is the main criticism? Does Brendan Rodgers deserve a big chunk of it? The board, or indeed maybe some of the players for their performances? It's your call. Now to another thing that's dogging the game, which is of course plastic pitches. The PFA Scotland have come out with the majority of players saying they don't want plastic pitches in the top flight, and the Rangers manager Stephen Gerrard agrees.
I agree with the players, or the majority of the players, in terms of trying to get them out of the game at elite level. I've gave my opinion on this before. I don't like plastic pitches. I didn't like playing on them. I think they're dangerous. I respect the teams that decide to put them in place for financial reasons. But for me, having been a player and now obviously coaching players, I believe the game would be in a better place if there was no plastic pitches. I just think the people that won't agree to taking them out of the game, I think they have to think about the players' health and the safety. And for me, my opinion is players are a lot safer on grass. Even, you know, your Hamiltons and your Kilmarnocks, I think if you ask them players away from the owners, I believe they'd rather play on grass than plastic.
The Aberdeen boss, Derek McInnes, has also mentioned today that it's no point in talking about it if nothing is done, Barry. Do you think there needs to be an immediate stance on this?
Yeah, I quite liked that the PFA have got involved with some of the clubs and the players. Look, I think if you ask, I think I'd say 99.9% of players would rather play in grass. For me, elite football should be played in grass. Now, I totally get lower league football, the club that I'm at just now, we're AstroTurf, it helps, but if you're playing top level football, it's got to be on grass for me. And I've seen what Stephen Gerrard said there about injuries. Injuries also do happen in grass. I'm not blaming artificial surfaces for some injuries. It does happen in grass, as I says, but for me, football's got to be played on grass, especially at elite football.
Yeah, it's not just the way it's played, the unnatural bounce, and of course there are some injuries which I think, all you have to do is ask Mikey Devlin how happy he was to get away from Hamilton in that pitch. He'd picked up 2 similar injuries there.
No, Barry's right, that you will pick up injuries on grass, but for me the prime is that when there are 4 or 5 players out there with Premier teams refusing to play on it, because they've been told with the injuries that you've got, if you keep playing in it, you're going to be worse.
OK, give us your view on that as well. It's now looking towards the Scottish Premiership, a full card of fixtures. We'll be discussing that, and we'll be hearing from Steve Clarke coming up next. Don't go away. Welcome back to Peter and Roughie's football show. Domestic matters will occupy our thoughts in this part of the programme. Here's a look at the weekend fixtures, and some tasty ones at that to look forward to. We've got Aberdeen, St Mirren, Hibs against Hamilton, Paul Heckingbottom with his first game in charge and in front of the home crowd. Livingston against Dundee, Rangers take on St Johnstone. It's Motherwell against Hearts, the early kick-off on the Sunday, and Kilmarnock against Celtic, the later one. So that's the full fixture card in the Premiership. Steve Clarke's been talking today. Of course, it's still rumbling on, as ever with Scottish football. If there's anything that's contentious from over a week ago, we try and drag it out as long as we possibly can. And I'm talking, of course, about Alan Power getting off with, in many people's view, a challenge on Ryan Jack. Steve Clarke had this to say about the whole episode.
I should have googled that one because somebody said that he could have knocked Ryan Jack's eye out. I googled it. Nobody's ever lost an eye for a high boot on a football pitch. So the hysteria can die down. Listen, it was an incident that was dealt with on the pitch with the referee at the time. I have to be honest, the referee could have gone yellow or red. Fortunately for us, he went yellow, and the decision was dealt with on the pitch. It was quite a hefty challenge that got Alan Power a big thump in the head that nobody cried about, so it was a little bit over the top.
I think you called it right, Barry.
Yeah, look, it could have been he got a yellow obviously, and there was a chance it could have been a red, but I've watched it a few times and I'll stick by what I said. I honestly believe that he's went to win the ball. Yes, it was high. Yes, he did catch Ryan Jack in the face. But listen, it was a yellow card. Let's just go on with it and stop dragging it out. Yeah, absolutely. Here. I did read your column today as well. Let's get back to those old days of giving each other a right good boot, Roughie. That was the crux of it. Where are all the hard men in those days, I wonder if Terry Hurlock would survive in today's game, Barry. No, I just think we're going on too much about some of these challenges. Listen, at the end of the day, Scottish football for me has got one good side. It's a physical game up here, and that's what it's all about. Tied in with some good football at times as well. So I think some of these challenges, when they're getting cited and people moaning and groaning, just let them go on with it and let the referees deal with it. If they see it as a yellow, it's a yellow. If they see it as a red, it's a red.
Yep, OK, enough said on that. What about Kilmarnock against Celtic on this Sunday? Here's the Killie boss.
A tough game for us. Obviously Celtic in form. Take out last night's game was a difficult game for them. I thought Valencia were very, very good. But they'll be looking to bounce back from that. They've shown consistently more or less since we went there, and we went to Celtic Park in December and got turned over. That they're the team that sets the standard in Scottish football, and we have to try and aspire to get as close to that standard as we can.
Celtic can bounce back, Roughie. It's you've witnessed it on several occasions. I watched the game Celtic against Kilmarnock the last time, and boy did they get turned over. But Killie in their own patch, you just never know.
Yeah, they've proved that against the top sides that there's not any given going down there. They certainly raise their game, as most of the clubs do, but that part does seem to be a wee bit of a leveller in their favour. It depends, obviously, what kind of team Celtic throw out. I don't think Brendan Rodgers will experiment too much because it's a big game for the chasing pack as well if Kilmarnock were to take anything out of that game.
Yep, OK. What about Rangers? Got a few injury problems. Here's Stephen Gerrard on some of the players that he has major worries over.
Jermaine's a doubt. Lafferty's a doubt. Golson's fine. Grezda's still a little bit away. Jamie Murphy's started kicking balls, but obviously he'll be at best in the last few games of the season. We're hoping we can get him back involved. Graham Dorrans has had a setback, but we're not sure the extent of that just yet. The rest are all fine.
And of course, Morelos is suspended.
Yeah, it's a worry, as you just mentioned there. The top man, Morelos, is out suspended. And obviously Defoe and Lafferty are struggling to make the game. So that'll be a worry for Steven Gerrard and the fans. What do they do? The only suggestion I'd think would be Ryan Kent goes through the middle. But they're short and they need to keep on Celtic's tail, and they'll be desperate to get the victory.
Okay, what about Motherwell Hearts, Roughie? It's a game I'm going to go along to on the Sunday. The Jambos, again, would not like to read the headlines. MLS side interested in Stevie Naismith. I don't think Stevie Naismith is driven by any sort of money. If anything, he might look upon it as a family decision. Mm-hmm. But I think, gut feeling on this, Hearts should pull out all the stops to keep him. I think he's pivotal to their success. Yeah,
I think Hearts will try and pull out all the stops, but America is a big pull, you know, especially when you've got a family, you're coming to the end of the career. You will be saying to yourself, is that something I want to try? You know, do I want to? Yeah. Obviously, you're consulting your family as well. They'll be the big deciding factor if they want to go. But no, he certainly enjoyed himself just now. It just depends what's on the table.
How long did it take you, Roughie, to decide on Orlando at that time?
The first day when they gave me a beautiful condominium with a swimming pool and a Ford Mustang convertible, I said, I went fancy this, by the way.
You see, even then, and that was a time when it wasn't so fashionable to go, but you enjoyed it. It lasted a year, didn't you?
A year, yeah, and I could have been there longer if I hadn't got the phone call to go to Celtic.
Yep, there you are. Okay. What about Aberdeen against St Mirren, Barry?
I think there's only going to be one winner. Aberdeen's form, as I said, since the start of December has been really good, albeit a defeat against Rangers last week, but far too strong for St Mirren, who are struggling.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing over the next few weeks how Hibs actually play. Hamilton is a great chance for Paul Heckingbottom. No disrespect to Hamilton, but I think it's a great chance for Paul Heckingbottom to just bed himself in there, maybe get 3 points. He has settled quite a number of the players, Roughie, and I think Lewis Stevenson and a number of the players have mentioned he's obviously done his homework, because he went in on the first day and he's shaking hands with the players by name. So, you know, he's put in a bit of work about it, and that little individual touch can relax players.
Yeah, and obviously he's done his homework. I think most managers do that now. You know, they're up in whatever club they're going to be going to. I think the only stumbling block for Hibs tomorrow will be Brian Rice. You know, obviously ex-Hibs player, big fans' favourite. It seems to be getting Hamilton a wee bit more organised now. I know they're picking up points against some of the teams down the bottom of the league, but this will be a big game for them. So it'll be interesting to see how it turns out.
Yeah, am I right in thinking that all of us have gone for Livingston Dundee as a draw in our predictions?
Yeah, I think it's got draw written all over the top of it. Livingston's form's not been great of late. Dundee have certainly picked up under Jim McIntyre, so I think this has got a draw.
Yeah, did you agree with us on that?
I can't remember with that one.
Yeah.
I honestly can't.
He's probably changed it.
I think.
Yeah,
I think
so far behind, he probably has to.
No, I think Jim McIntyre might think this is a game they could maybe win.
Okay, just before we go, Roughie, in the Championship, the Jags have suddenly come out with a late signing. Scott McDonald signs on the dotted line until the end of the season. He's obviously a former teammate of Gary Caldwell's, good friendship between them. I mean, give us first of all the insight into this one.
Well, I think obviously Gary tried to get him maybe a month ago. I think Scott didn't know where he was going to be going with the media. Gary's obviously persevered, you know, in talking to him to bring him in. We certainly are short of a goal scorer to score goals. I think if you look at all the other teams in the Championship who are up in the top half, they've all got goal scorers. I think our top goal scorer is sitting on 5 and he's a midfield player, and that can't be good. So Scott McDonald has scored goals in every club he's went to. If he could score maybe 10, 15 before the end of the season, it will help us out.
Yeah, we're going some if he scores 10 or 15. I wouldn't buy it. I'd give him a good shout at maybe somewhere between 5 and 10, Barry.
Yeah, I think it's a decent signing. Look, he's played at the highest level. He's experienced. Listen, if he misses a chance or two, which might happen with a younger player, he might worry a wee bit, but he's obviously been through the course before. And you know what? They need a goal scorer and they need to get themselves out of relegation trouble, and I think he'll help. As I says, he's scored goals everywhere he's went and he'll be a decent signing for Thistle.
Okay, I think the key word that we've mentioned on this programme today is levels. You can give us your view on that, because we're back to the hustle and bustle of the Scottish Premiership, which of course we like to see a bit of flair, but the physicality that Barry was mentioning is what it's all about. Give us your view on where Scottish football is with regards to our standing in Europe and what our clubs are achieving, whether it be Europa League or their attempts to try and even just be at the party in the Champions League. There's our social media hit for you. You can give us your view on that. Barry will be back with us on Monday when we'll be discussing, of course, all the blood, guts and thunder of the Scottish Premiership. And who knows, with Roughie, Barry and myself, we'll probably have something to talk about on the Monday, which drags out until the Friday or Saturday as well. Hopefully you've enjoyed the programme. Don't forget, Monday to Friday, you can catch us on That's TV at 10 o'clock if you miss the 6 o'clock showing. Thanks for watching.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.